Welcome, trainers, to the PokeSphere. We're your destination for in-depth Pokemon news, community discussions, and editorial content. We're passionate about this franchise, and we're here to share our insights and connect with fellow fans. So let's talk Game Freak. So usually we're very Pokemon-centric on this channel, but recently Game Freak decided to throw an absolute curveball in the ways of a game called Beasts of Reincarnation. Now, there hasn't been a whole lot of talk about this, but I wanted to address this particular game because it shows off what Game Freak is capable of when, I guess, they have the latitude to kind of go crazy. And so we saw a preview trailer of Beasts of Creation, and I think to the shock of many of us, but within the last month, they released a 10-minute long 4K trailer. Now, we're not going to do the whole trailer, but we are going to check out some of the highlights. And I have to admit that from the jump, this game is absolutely stunning, to say the least. And the way the trailers have been showing off the gameplay, I think shows how Game Freak can make a AAA-style game that isn't just Pokemon, that isn't graphically hindered the way Pokemon generally seems to be. There's so much detail and so much action happening in these trailers that it blows my mind that this came out of Game Freak. So, once again, being joined by my fellow co-hosts, Chase, Sun, and X. So, what did you guys think when you first saw that Game Freak just dropped not only a game that's going to be on different platforms, but also, a game of this magnitude that apparently they've been working on it for 6 years.
This is game for all Pokemon fans. I swear it's not us. I swear it's not us. Look, don't look at us. Look at Pokemon, not us. Look what we can do. We could have done for y'all, but they won't let us. That's what that feels like right away.
Oh yeah, I was unexpected because when I saw like a little bit of the demo, and I'm like, oh, what is made by Game Freak? Because I've not heard of this game before, and I was curious what it was made by. And then at the end, they show, like one of the Game Freak dev coming out and talking at their headquarters saying they're new IT games. So I'm curious to see how this game's gonna play out. It's gonna be really good, And I believe it's gonna be like the current console. Yeah, so on PC, I believe.
Yeah, it looks like this is going to be on everything except Switch.
Yep.
That's kind of funny. So Game Freak releases a not Pokemon game, and it's on everything except where Pokemon is.
Right?
The irony is so delicious.
No, I think eventually they will later, just not right now, probably. So
Firstly, I couldn't believe that this was a Game Freak game because it is absolutely gorgeous. Like, it's no Ghost of Yotei or Black Myth Wukong, but like, it is still a very good looking game. And the first thing I actually realized it was a Game Freak game because I think we've established in a different video that I don't know how to read. I just couldn't believe it. And the first thoughts that went through my head were, how much creative freedom did they get and what was the budget for this game? Because if Game Freak is capable of putting something like this out there, then I mean, for Pokemon, there really is no excuse other than Game Freak as being so heavily restricted in terms of how far they can actually develop those games. And especially compared to their last game that I recall them releasing, I think it was called like Little Town Hero or Town Hero, and that game was also quite good looking, but it was very much like that, I would say, the chibi art style and more like that kid friendly stuff. So it is a real breath of fresh air to see what Game Freak is actually capable of.
I think that's really the big takeaway on this, just this opening, because we're seeing footage right now and we're seeing how smooth and seamless some of the action sequences are where you're running around, but then you've got these cutscenes that are rendered beautifully, lighting, everything looks gorgeous. And then just the fact that it's Game Freak, I think, is what really shocks everybody. And to top things off, voice acting. Your character may not have a voice, but there's characters in this thing that are actually speaking.
Fujigo Ember. お前に輪廻の獣討伐の命を
And so knowing that Game Freak is capable of something like this makes me wonder why on earth is Nintendo so hellbent on keeping Pokemon so simplified. Like, I get that they're trying to keep the focus on the young generation of gamers that are coming into new games, and they want to keep it appealing. But at the same time, we've seen games like this where the graphics are just stunning and gorgeous like this that still will resonate with kids. You can still keep that fun aspect of Pokemon, but bring that graphic fidelity so much higher. I want to understand more of the why this has happened and not so much as the how, because in this 10-minute, 12-minute trailer that they dropped, they said this took 6 years to make. So if it took them 6 years to make something this absolutely gorgeously stunning, why is it that we're getting subpar graphics when it comes to a game that usually has a 4 to 5 year cycle?
I actually
Like, this game really has an interesting vibe to it. It's supposed to be a Souls-like game. It's a single player experience. You're looking at something that's kind of like a hybrid of what's the one PlayStation game where you're playing as a girl named Aloy?
Oh, Horizon Zero Dawn.
Horizon Zero Dawn, yeah. So it kind of feels like it's a mix between Horizon Zero Dawn with some level of body horror happening, because the main protagonist, she has the ability to quell these manifestations of nature gone wild from some, I guess it's an alien source. She is infected, but she can control the aspects of it. But you also have your wolf companion, who also seems to be suffering from the same thing. And together you grow in power. And it sounds like from one of the things that they've done is they've taken a page out of some of the old Pokemon games where you're barred from going into certain areas until you have unlocked certain abilities. So you're not in an open world sandbox. You do have to follow a certain path. But I mean, looking at the combat, looking at everything that they've done, this looks absolutely incredible. And I'm not gonna say that I'm gonna go out and buy it, but it's on my radar. It is on my radar.
So talking about the combat, from what I understood in my, looking into it, I think it has an interesting hybrid feature where you as playing the main character take your actions in like a real time, but you're also going to be controlling your companion through like a pseudo turn-based combat system as well. And what's really interesting about that to me and how it relates to our main focal point here at the PokeSphere is, what have we seen Pokemon recently where they're going turn-based, then they're going action-based, and could it be an interesting thing where like maybe the next time we do a Legends game where we're back in the past, or imagine even Legends Arceus, if you had the ability to also have some means of combat as a player, just even as a survival means, would exist as a human being trying to live during that era. And then you also had a turn-based system for your Pokemon to react and move, all very similar to how we have the active-based system in ZA. But like, bro, seeing that hybrid, I'm really curious to see how that works and how that plays and how the controls are set up, because this might hint at something we're going to see, because they haven't shown us what the actual battle in Gen 10 for Pokemon is going to be. And Game Freak doesn't slide too far in it.
Right, quick tangerine. I hope, because I said this even before the Synchro Machine was a thing, I want a Pokemon game similar to what CA did with their battle system, but instead of you, the trainer, running around and your Pokemon following you, and it would sort of work like the Synchro Machine, you become your Pokemon, and that's how you battle, sort of like how Pokken is, where you're battling as the Pokemon. I think that could be really cool if that was the way battles worked in Gen 10.
So you're telling me my starter Pokemon should be an Oranguru, and then I could just do the whole gym challenge remotely from my home?
Yes, sir.
Does this cost me remote raid pass fees?
Probably not, but you might get some form of can or you might just get locked in like the Nerve Gear and SAO. I don't know.
Wow, that connects back to the Beast of Reincarnation pretty well, because yeah, it really does seem like this body horror elements is some form of cancer.
Hey, listen, I told you it was a tangerine.
Hey, man, you want to be here?
The interesting thing about this is that yes, there is an active, it's active combat as we've seen, in the footage. However, there's this portion here where you get to craft, you get to use a special attack. And this is where that whole JRPG hybrid aspect comes into play. While you're selecting, if you look at the background, things are still moving very slowly while you're choosing your attack. So you do have a time limit as things are going, but they do give you a moment to choose how you want to attack. And from my understanding, see how it slows down right here while you're choosing? The way the trailer explains it is that as you create an attack, you're now causing your wolf companion to come in and do a specific attack, which is going to allow you to build up to do another attack, and you're working in tandem between you and the wolf. And your skill trees that you have access to will allow you to customize exactly how you want to play. So there's a little bit of liberty when it comes to playstyle. If you want to be a more stealthy character, apparently you're going to be able to do that. Or if you're going to go more on the head-to-head, you'll have that ability as well. And unlocking the skills through the tree is what's going to allow you those unique opportunities. So I'm really surprised that this looks like such a well fleshed out, thought out game and has a lot of complexity to it. It's just I'm still floored that we're talking about Game Freak.
We're talking about 6 years.
Yeah, that's also something that we glossed over. Like that this was made in 6 years. Because in my mind, that's a relatively short period of time.
That's a Zelda game, my guy.
Yeah,
Show me a Zelda game that looks like this, sir.
that's the point though.
That Zelda takes to make their games, and almost adamantly so. So I think that's a good contrast to look at a production or a software company that works heavily with with Pokemon and Nintendo to see what other companies under Nintendo are doing with a similar time frame.
Oh yeah, no, for sure.
I think the best thing to do to think about this is Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl was done by Ilka, and a lot of people criticized this. They did not care for how Ilka handled things, but people also don't understand or didn't kind of connect the dots that they also did One Piece Odyssey, which if you go look at the reviews for One Piece Odyssey, they're phenomenal. Like it's an outstanding game.
And that's a gorgeous game too.
Yeah, so if Game Freak can make this game and Ilka can make One Piece, but then when it comes to Pokemon, you have a very specific, formulaic, you can see the restraints. It makes me wonder then, why is Nintendo so hell-bent on holding these companies back when it comes to Pokemon when they can really push forward, still maintain the aesthetic that they're going for without sacrificing, gameplay, or while elevating the gameplay and just the story of Pokemon. Like, there's so many questions I have, and this game's just bringing them more and more in fruition. Like, again, we still don't really know a whole lot about this game. It doesn't come out until August, but I mean, it is just stunning to watch.
Yep.
It's definitely a game I'm super excited about for this year, and something I might actually pick up day one, or might give it like a week or two and have a look at a couple of videos. But
So there's a game I want to mention that you guys might have heard of that give me this vibe. Like that game, it's called Canada, the Bridge of Spurs. I don't know if you guys
Never-
heard of it.
Nope, never heard of it.
No?
I don't think so.
It's a
I've
really
heard
good
of it. I haven't seen much about it.
Basically, it's a girl with a bow and archer, and she befriends this little creature. I forgot the name, and then eventually they get corrupted by evil or whatever, right? And then it's her job as the guardian or whatever, protect her. So she was started suffering creature too by fighting them. So yeah, and this game is giving me that vibe. And also another game that I want to mention is this one's giving me another game that is called Wild Hearts, and it's giving me this vibe though, with how it looks like, the way it's played, just the giant creatures and stuff.
I mean, this is very Souls-like. You can see the inspiration of the game. I love the fact that this is a futuristic game. It's taking place in the year 4000 something. You can see the remnants of technology and how everyone's still living now back in the feudal era. So you see that juxtaposition of old and new. You've got what they've called I think they're called the Golem, which are the robots. So you're not only fighting this alien entity that is hijacking nature as a whole, but you're dealing with robots that have AI that effectively has gone amok. And so I can see where the similarities are between Horizon Zero Dawn and your Dark Souls game, and they even go through one section here where you're fighting one of the big monsters, and they flat out say, "Oh, this thing is evolving," and I'm like, "Oh, so they did pull a little bit from Pokemon while they were at it. Okay, cool. Let's see where this goes." And for everything that they've been showing on this, it's just amazing how free-flowing it is. Even if you are restricted to certain areas, it's not a sandbox. Just seeing how quickly she can move from plant to plant, drop down on a dive, and then go into that menu for a special attack. I want to play this game just to see how they accomplished all this, like how it all feels. Make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Oh, 100%.
Like, yes, they borrowed things from different games from the looks of it. Like, part of me gets Princess Mononoke vibes when you're seeing some of the creatures, and anyone who's an otaku will tell you, Miyazaki's Princess Mononoke is probably one of the best definitive films that he's done, but it does deal with giant creatures and in forests dealing things, fighting against humanity, which this gives me that vibe. But I think overall, this kind of proves that Game Freak can make something that can be visually stunning, because the only other thing that Game Freak's been known now, and again, to be transparent, Game Freak has done many other games for many other systems in the past, but they're predominantly known for Pokemon. And a couple years ago, like you mentioned, they did try to branch out with Little Town Hero to some success, I guess. I don't even remember that game until I actually remember that they made that game. But this is the first time that they're really pushing the boundaries of what they've shown graphically their games can be. This is also the first time I think they've gotten this ambitious with a battle system, and I'm really, really curious to where this goes.
It is really good to see them move in a direction so they're not just known as the Pokemon dev studio, that they're actually showing like how talented they are, to put it very lightly.
So you also have to go and look at some of the history. Recently watched a video that was talking about, and they decided to do the remakes for Fire Red and Leaf Green, and like looking at some of the they had to bring in Nintendo programmers who help out like modernizing the code and everything, because the Game Freak editor or programmers like really grow much from the first generation through like the fourth in many ways. This is actually kind of a flex against that too. It's showing that Game Freak has so much more potential now that they have grown, that they're not reaching out to Big Brother Nintendo to bring over some extra programmers because we want to do this a little bit special and we don't know how anymore. Now it might be something for Nintendo to be like, come help us.
Well, for context, I just looked up the person who's directing this game. According to the video here, it's directed and written by Kota Furushima. Now, Kota Furushima was part of the additional crew who created Pokemon Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon. And before that, back in 2012, they were part of the publicity for Aquarian Evolve, which is an anime. So the person who's doing this doesn't have a whole lot of experience as far as we can see with what they've been showing off. But the fact that this is, they've basically said, here, you've written this, go ahead and direct it, and they just threw money at this. It really, I have to admit, that kind of gives me hope that this is one hell of a game, because Game Freak wouldn't just throw money at this if they had no faith in the person who's directing it.
Can we just take a moment to appreciate how good the name Malefact is for the enemies?
I mean,
So I have a question. What's the main character's name?
the main character,
Yeah, the girl.
Emma,
Okay.
and the wolf's name is Ku. But
Is
yeah, I
in
mean,
the famous Pokemon leaker.
I mean, at the end of this 10-minute long trailer, they show off a lot of the visuals, and I'm just constantly floored by the level of detail that we're seeing. It's not even just like it isn't just even like just a quick bleh, there it's done. There's a lot of small detail work, like down to the stitching you can see, and it just looks so amazing.
Cool. Is there a release date for it yet or no?
I'm sorry, August 8th,
Oh, this year? Oh, nice.
this year.
I'm looking to.
Summer of 2026. I went to Steam, and I believe Steam said August 8th is the date that they have slated for them.
Yeah, cool.
So it'll be on PlayStation 5, Xbox S, X, and Windows either via Microsoft or on Steam, as well as it'll be on the Game Pass day one.
I hope it's
Beasts of Reincarnation. All right, so according to Steam, August 4th, 2026 is when this game will be coming out. The developer was Game Freak, and the publisher is Fictions.
Why does Fiction sound familiar?
Publisher Fictions. They did Amadeus. They've done Lego Party, and Tales of the Shire.
Oh, yeah, I think I heard that one. So, sure.
Yeah, they don't have a whole lot under the belts. But yeah, so I mean, that's when we're looking at a release date. All right, and with that brings this episode to an end. What are your thoughts about this, this upcoming game from Game Freak? Are you looking forward to it? Are you shocked as much as we were finding out that Game Freak's going to drop a game of this visually stunning? Let us know down below. Also, be sure to share, like, subscribe. Let us know how we're doing. And as always,
We'll see you in the next video.